Hey guys, welcome back to F1 2021, the official video game, part 11 of the My Team Career mode for Cross GT Racing. We are heading to the Belgian Grand Prix this time, round 12, I think. Our team's not doing too bad so far this season. But you know, we would like to get some better finishes, maybe get some more championship points. We've had a bit of a drought so far, so we'll see what we can do this race as we head off to our facility now. Quick turnaround here before we go into the season break. So Guan Yu Zhou's contract is up. Time for us to negotiate a brand new driver contract. He is worth $2 million as current market value, which is pretty much all the money that we have at the moment. But we really want to focus our funds on improving our facilities. So we're going to go with a new driver. We are going to be going with Robert Schwartzman, who is worth 800k. So we save ourselves $1.2 million. And he's actually slightly better in terms of racecraft and pace. He's only behind on experience. Guan Yu Zhou's focus is only 74, whereas Robert Schwartzman is pretty focused at the moment. So we have decided to approach Robert Schwartzman. We're going to go with a low risk offer to make sure that we do actually get him on board. We don't want to be giving, to take any chances here. Awesome. So contract is signed, he has agreed to the terms, and he will be on board for the rest of the season.
Issue on the production line earlier this week, so the entire development package for this weekend has failed. Any redevelopments will need to be ordered from the R&D screen.
Okay, so some issue with our R&D, which isn't too much of a worry. We just go back in, take a look. Improved materials for turbo and durability. So we'll restart that one. So we did the press conference there with Will Buxton, and now we've skipped the season break. Back into the powertrain department.
Unfortunately, we need you to step in and make an executive decision here.
Okay, so there was some flooding at the facility. We can either spend 100k to get everything fixed, or 1,000 resource points to just fix what we need. We don't have the resource points and we don't want to use them anyway.
Thanks for handling that.
Yeah, we want to keep all the resource points for our R&D. 100k is not that big of a deal. We can make that pretty easily. 1,000 resource points is a big deal. Time to go to the activities page. We've got a 5-day turnaround before the next Grand Prix. So, a bit of marketing, a bit of simulator training for Schwartzman, and we are on our way. As we start advancing time, more R&D failures there.
I know we were expecting some new developments to come through, but some of them have failed quality control. We'll need to tell the team what to redevelop via the R&D screen.
Okay, so we had a major chassis upgrade fail, so now we're going to have to wait another 18 days, so another 3 Grand Prix until that's done. Magnetic compound for powertrain failure, that one was 100% discounted, so we didn't lose any resource points there, we just lost time. And now we've got enough money, we are going to upgrade the build time in our chassis department because chassis is falling behind and we really need to start boosting that up. And now that we've got that all done, off to Belgium for the Belgian Grand Prix. Practice didn't do as well in practice. Our car wasn't as good this time around. Starting to notice as the season goes on that the car is not starting to fall apart, but we're starting to have some issues with the car, which is to be expected with the wear of the parts and the power unit and all that sort of thing. So we may need to take a look at potentially getting some new parts and taking some grid penalties at the same time, which isn't ideal, but it is part of what we may have to look at. as we are now into qualifying. As we come around turn 1, still in first, so took that corner pretty well, which should give us a little bit of a head start heading into this very long, very high speed area. And just like that, we have now dropped to the back. Now 18th position. We're not that far behind Ricardo, but our car doesn't quite have the same amount of power as some of the other cars, and it certainly doesn't have an as experienced driver in it either. As we come around the long right hander here, it's very hard to not hit the accelerator there, because all you want to do is accelerate through, but it's just tight enough that if you do, you're going to go flying very wide. Very technical track, this one, as we go onto the grass there and then go back wide, so we've lost a lot of time there. Hamilton now sitting pole position. We were in 21st, we've now jumped back up to 19th as we hit the gravel that time, but we haven't lost any places. Right now into the high speed third section of this track. This is pretty much just all out speed. These corners are relatively easy to take when you're going full throttle. As we come down to the last 2 turns, oh, we brake late, lock up the wheels, and it's messed us up through those 2 turns there. We drop a couple of places over the line, and that qualifying run will be good enough for P21. Less than a tenth of a second behind Latifi in P20, so not too bad. And 3 hundredths of a second faster than our teammate. So our teammate, right off the bat, showing some decent pace. I mean, we're still P21 and 22, which isn't great, but shows some promise, which is really what we want to see in this back half of the season. As we take a look at the rivalry breakdown now, we are still falling behind Fernando Alonso there, which is to be expected. He is in a faster car and he's a much more experienced driver than we are. So I'm not too worried about that. We're just going to try and do as best we can. Team claim going up slowly, but that's good as we head into race day.
Welcome along then to the Belgian Grand Prix, the race that gave us the maiden victory for the Jordan team in 1998. And in the same team, the phenomenal debut of a young Michael Schumacher. There's always something special around one of the many corners of this fan-favourite circuit. Spa-Francorchamps then, a historic 19-corner circuit with a lap distance of 4.35 miles. There's over 100 metres of elevation change here, and with long stretches of the lap spent flat out, a good top speed will be vital for success. Joining us today to oversee all the thrills and spills, it's Anthony Davidson. And great to see you. How are you feeling about the race today, and how are the circuit conditions from what you've seen?
Well, the surface looks clean enough, but I'm a little bit worried about the track temperature. It's pretty cool out there, which could give some teams difficulties when it comes to keeping their tyres in the right operating window. The cars out there that work their tyres hard and really put a lot of energy through them, they'll be the ones that are better off.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Lando Norris put in a fantastic lap yesterday and will start from pole position. And it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Verstappen, Bottas, Daniel Ricciardo and Perez, Sainz, Leclerc, Gasly and Fernando Alonso, Tsunoda, Ocon, Sebastian Vettel and Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, Stroll, Mick Schumacher and George Russell, Mazepin, Latifi, the captain and Robert Schwartzman. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
We will try not to, Jeff. As we take a look at our strategy for this race, 5 laps on the the softs and then 6 on the mediums. We're going to follow the same strategy as the rest of the races to try and maintain some speed and see if we can pick them off at the later part of the race. We've got 5 red lights, they're all gone. We are now off and running for the Belgian Grand Prix. As we come down to turn 1, we do a massive dive bomb. We do a huge dive bomb. Bit of contact there with Sonoda. But it doesn't look like we took any sort of front wing damage or anything there. Just touched tyres. Let's take a look at that one again as we go past. Was there like 9 cars? P21 all the way up to P12 in the first corner. We're now sitting behind our rival Fernando Alonso in the Alpine. But we do have Sebastian Vettel closing in behind us very quickly in that Aston Martin as he tries to come up the side of us. He doesn't quite get it. Oh, he does. He's always next to us. He's right there. We come back. We've got the inside. It goes back to the inside for him, and he makes easy work of us there. But we're coming back on the inside again, and we managed to get back past him. What a move there. We take a look. It started all the way back here before turn 5. He gets ahead of us at 5. We keep the inside at 6, but we just don't have the pace to get him through turn 7. We go back on the inside, dive bomb into the long turn 8, and we manage to get it done. We're now back in P12 through turn 9, sitting behind Alonso. Everyone should be on the softs, so no advantage for anyone other than the actual performance of their car and the person driving it, which gives everyone a bit of a decent advantage over me. But that's alright, we can still do a lot even with our relative inexperience as we're gaining on Alonso. We try to make a run down the inside. We get it done. P11. Sonoda is in our sights. As our car's got a lot of speed, but we took that turn a little bit wide. So we hit the anchors, heading into the final 2 turns. Around turn 19, across the line, lap 1 completed, we're sitting P11. We've gained 10 positions in 1 lap.
Robert is in the pits. Robert in the pits.
So Schwartzman, after 1 lap of racing, is already in the pits. He must have taken some damage at some point, I'm assuming at turn 1. There was a lot going on there. So that's not good for him, as he's going to, as we end up getting passed by Alonso there, just because this car just has so much more speed than ours. But that's alright. We screw up that corner a little bit. We open the door for Vettel, but we close it.
They have an issue with their car. They're going to be slow.
Okay, so Sonoda has got a bit of a problem with that AlphaTauri. I'm not really sure if it's affecting him that much because he's still in front of us. We'll see what we can do as Vettel tries to go up the outside of us, heading into 18. We close the door on him there. Managed to maintain P12 there.
The pit window. You'll be on the mediums.
Alright, heading into the pit soon to get some mediums. Alonso's now gotten ahead of Sonoda, so maybe he is having some issues with that car a little bit. Not enough that we're really a threat to him at this point, as the gap is slowly building. He's 1.2 seconds ahead of us. Alonso now 2 seconds ahead, so we aren't going to catch him, as Giovinazzi now makes a run up the inside of us there.
Okay, we lost the position. Try to keep focus.
Thanks, Jeff. We should be fine.
Caution, caution.
Looks like there's a bit of an issue going on somewhere.
Be aware, there's an incident in the next part of the track. No overtaking through the yellow flags.
Okay, yellow flag as someone's gone off there. Lando Norris has come off the track. Let's have a look and see what happened there. So, okay, by the sounds of things, there before turn 8 he's had some sort of an engine issue, or maybe a gearbox issue. He's got no speed. There's no smoke coming out, so it must be a gearbox issue, and obviously quite a severe one if he's got. He looks like he can't even get out of second or third, maybe. So his race is over after basically gaining pole position, I think. So it's an unfortunate incident there.
Green flag.
So yeah, hard luck for Norris there, but that only makes things easier for us as we're now effectively P12 due to that retirement there. Gaining on Giovinazzi now on this really fast third sector. We're also gaining on Tsunoda. I don't know if it's maybe our car is faster than the Alpha Tauris who try to make a dive down the inside at 18, but it doesn't work. Don't know if it's our car versus the Alfa Romeo, or if it's just the fact that Tsunoda's having issues and it's slowing Giovinazzi down enough that we can gain on him. As Vettel takes a quick look up the inside, we've now managed to make contact with Giovinazzi at turn 1. Front wing damage. That's going to hurt us, because now we're not going to have as much speed or manoeuvrability, which is exactly what Vettel wanted. That's just opened the door now as he comes flying past that Aston Martin. We tried to hold him off as long as we could, but one critical mistake.
Strategy is available on the MFD.
Cheers, Jeff. One critical mistake there. We opened the door and let him through. He's now making a move on Tsunoda. Down the inside at turn 8, we have no manoeuvrability. We go all the way around the outside and leave the door open for Ocon, who pokes his head through, but then we just get back in front of him.
Got that confirmed.
Alright, so we've changed the strategy now. We're going to be pitting at the end of this lap as opposed to the end of the next, because we have to get this front wing sorted. We're just dropping positions now. P16 as Ocon, Raikkonen and Stroll all just come flying past us. As we now come around to the high speed third sector. We didn't do too bad there. We're still within range of Stroll and the others, but we're going to have to call into the pits now. Get that front wing replaced and jump onto the mediums. So we will have mediums for the rest of this race now. It's only one extra lap, so the tyre wear shouldn't be an issue. We should still be able to hang on to it. Schwartzman will probably have to come in for a second stop. He's 32 seconds behind at the moment after having to pit at the start of lap 2.
Exit now.
So
strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now.
Sure thing, Jeff. As we come back out of the pits, Schwartzman now only 5 seconds behind us, or 7 seconds, or however many seconds the game decides he is behind us. He's going to have to try and catch up to us, which is probably going to be not that easy, as we seem to have, well, I was going to say we have similar pace, but we've pulled 2 seconds in front of him now, as a bunch of the other racers have just come out of the pits.
The gap to the car ahead is 29.2 seconds.
It's actually not, Jeff, but thanks for just saying hello anyway. So we were 23 seconds behind at the end of the last lap, and with a bunch of the other drivers heading into the pits to get onto their medium compound tyres, we are now only 16 seconds behind Alonso. Probably still too big of a gap to be able to gain back on him with, but you know, we're going to try. You know we will. Oh, as we lose the back end a little bit there. We've run a faster first and second sector. We're almost a second ahead of where we were with the softs, so running a lot better on the mediums, as a bunch of the other cars now heading into the pits. Stroll, Ocon, I think Mazepin was in there as well, Tsunoda's in there. So all the races that we were following that passed us earlier when we had the front wing damage have now just gone through the pits, and are now just coming out. So we are now back in with a chance to gain some more positions. Just after we did our fastest lap of the Grand Prix, faster than our original best by 1.6 seconds on the mediums. So we have got some amazing pace. 5 laps of fuel, so just enough fuel to get us through to the end of the race, which is exactly what we want. As we come down to turn 5, following along behind Russell, 2.5 seconds in front of us. We can see him down there heading into turn 8. A little hard on the brakes there. We're closing that gap to Russell now. Now less than 2 seconds behind. They're on new mediums, which will have to warm up. We're on slightly worn mediums, which are pretty warm. As we go all the way around the outside there of turn 11. But that's alright. No track limit warning. No issue with illegal overtakes. We'll take what we can get. Almost just under 1 second now the gap to Russell. We've been showing a lot of good pace through these corners. Now it's time to see what this car can do. Behind these guys through sector 3, it's just foot to the floor, all out. We're closing that gap. We're now only half a second behind Russell. As we head into 18, we follow him through. We go a little bit wide around 19, but we know we've got the speed. That's 7 laps down. We're on to lap 8 as Schumacher and Latifi were in the pits. They've just come out and rejoined the race as well. We're in the middle of a battle now after being behind. We are now right back in the thick of it. With P20, Schwartzman is 14 seconds behind us now in P21, so I think he's probably going to be out of the fight. But we are very much in the fight right now as the two Williams go side by side into 5 and through 6. We try to sneak up the inside, it doesn't work. We come back, we go around, we go the inside of Russell, heading down into turn 8. Dive bomb. We go around the outside of Latifi now. We can't quite make it stick. Thanks, Jeff. A little bit of contact there. Heading into turn 9, we get the job done. Let's take a look as we pass the entire Williams team in 2 corners. We duck out around Russell. Side by side, we just dive on. We force him out a little bit, which gives us the outside against Latifi, which turns into the inside of 9. Locked up those wheels, a little bit of contact. Wheel to wheel there, but we get the job done. And we just did our quickest sector 1 time of the race so far. With all that traffic, we still managed to put in some competitive time. As Russell tries to come the outside of us there, we managed to keep him out. We're right behind Mazepin now. Around 14, right there at 15. We go on the inside, ERS enabled. We get past Mazepin. Oh, we've managed to lock up with him there.
4 laps of fuel remaining.
Let's take another look at that one. We try to make a run at him out of 14, it doesn't work. We try again at 15, this time we enable the ERS, we get ahead of him just, we come across, we lock wheels there. And then contact again, and he has to give up the fight. That was lucky. That could have been disastrous. That could have been the end of our race there. At the end of lap 8, after such an amazing battle we've had. But luckily it doesn't come to that. Lap 8 completed, we actually lost 2 seconds on our best time there. But that's alright. As now we're eyeing up Schumacher and Tsunoda. Tsunoda possibly still having some issues with their car, I'm not sure. ERS enabled. Heading to the DRS zone. DRS enabled as well. Schumacher has DRS on Tsunoda. We try to go up the outside at turn 5. We brake late. We give him the space. It turns onto the inside at 6 and we get the job done on Schumacher. As we now eye up Tsunoda. He comes across and goes defensive. we take the outside into 8th. And we managed to just breeze past him at turn 8. We get the job done. We are now P15. Let's take a look at that again. As we go side by side with the Haas into 5. And we get the inside at 6. So we get the job done. And we carry on after Sonoda cuts across to the inside to go defensive. But we just managed to coast around the outside of him there. Possibly still having issues with that car. But we'll just have to wait and see what happens there if he drops any more positions. Another fastest sector 1 there. Getting faster and faster through that first section of this Belgian Grand Prix. We are now 1.2 seconds ahead of Sonoda, as Valtteri Bottas just posts the fastest lap, a 1:47, as we're doing a 1:49, so 2 seconds almost the gap between our best lap and the fastest lap of the race so far. We go slower through sector 2, but we floor it now through sector 3. Can we get a faster sector 3 time? We take 19 a little bit tight. It doesn't quite work out for us exiting. But that's 9 laps down. Still a slower lap time. 1.1 seconds off our personal best. Tyre wear possibly becoming a bit of an issue. But we've only got 2 laps left. P15, 1.5 seconds now to Sonoda, who is closing that gap. But I don't think at any rate that we need to really worry about as we come around the final corner of turn 10. We've now increased the lead.
Final lap of the race. We're leading our teammate by 16.4 seconds.
So we have now increased our lead over Sonoda. He's now 1.7 seconds behind us. Schumacher on the hards is 2 seconds behind him, but Stroll is pulling away from us. He's now 9 seconds ahead of us. So not really anything we could have done those last 2 laps other than try and maintain our 15th position. Lewis Hamilton bringing home the win here at Belgium.
Alright, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
Cheers, Jeff. As we come in P15 from P21 and we get driver of the day here at Spa. What a race.
So Mercedes have won it, and what a great race it was. So Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
I'd say it was down once again to good, consistent driving, nailing the corners, working to the track conditions and perfecting the team's strategies. They got all of these things right today and the results speak for themselves.
Mercedes are on top form once again after an excellent race weekend. It's great to see them up on that podium once again.
So there we have it. Belgian Grand Prix over. We go from P21 to P15 and we get driver of the day. Robert Schwartzman managed to get ahead of Nikita Mazepin there and ended up finishing in P20, so he jumps up 2 spots from where he started. Lando Norris starting in pole. DNF for that, I'm assuming, gearbox issue that he had. Didn't sound very good. I think that was what, lap 3 maybe? Very early on in the race. So unlucky for him as we take a look at the driver standings now. Valtteri Bottas now jumps ahead of Max Verstappen into the lead by 1 point. Lewis Hamilton leapfrogs over Lando Norris and he's now in third, only 5 points behind Bottas, so 5 points separating the top 3. And then Lando Norris in fourth, 27 points behind Bottas. So very tight at the top there as we take a look at the team standings, construct the standings. Mercedes just pulling ahead of Red Bull now, 42 points the gap. Probably the only team that will be able to make any gains on them. Alfa Romeo jumps ahead of Haas purely based on finishing position, as neither team has any points. Well, that brings us to the end of race weekend here in Belgium, here at Spa. What a race. Driver of the day. We jumped up, what, 6 positions in that race. Managed to get 9 positions in one corner, so that was a pretty sick move. But we just need to keep focusing, getting good finishing positions, getting more resource points, bringing the money in, trying to get our car sort of up to peak performance as quickly as possible. Basically using this season as a building season for the future. But yeah, pretty happy with how the car's going so far. I'm pretty happy with our performance. Even Schwartzman in his first race for us, you know, P20, but still showing some promise there. So it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the season goes. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, comment, let me know what you thought of that race, or just what your thoughts are in general. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do consider subscribing. It would really help me out. And I will see you guys in the next one. Cheers. Thanks for watching.